He tried to pass Will on the curve, and it didn't work. And so that strategy that he was using just clearly was not something that it should be. I mean, he's a senior. Like, he's been doing this right now. You'd think when you're coming from Baylor, you're a senior, you've got the fastest time in the country, I'd expect a better race strategy. Will Floyd should not have won this. This was Nathaniel Ezekiel's championship to lose, and unfortunately, that's what happened.
But at a national championship, if you're not first to the pole, you're going to lose. Here's why. Last year, 2024, Christopher Morales-Williams, first to the pole, breaks the world record indoors. Year before that, Elijah Godwin, 44.7, national champion, first to the pole. Year before that, Randolph Ross, 44.8, or maybe 44.79, first to the pole, national champion. Year before that, me, 44.71, first to the pole, national champion. You're not going to win a national championship in the 400 meters indoors if you're not first to the pole.
The announcers for this NCAA track and field championship were the most boring individuals I have ever heard in my entire life.
But, Oregon won by 16 points, right? And they got exactly 16 points from Jadyn Mays. That is actually incredible. Like, had she not come back for this season, they wouldn't be national champions right now.
This big win against two of the best in NCAA history that Auburn really had, and taking their lunch for a second time.
I'll put it like this. Point blank period, that was not supposed to happen.
Welcome back to another episode Track World News Podcast. I'm your host, Colin Waitsman, here with our esteemed co-host, Mr. Noah Williams. Noah, how you doing today, brother?
Blessed and highly favored, my boy. Can't feel better, man. We had a great weekend of track and field. Indoor championships is here. Great time to be alive, man. How you feeling, my boy?
I'm doing great. A lot of really good track going on. A lot of good sports. Like this, I feel like this is a pretty good time just in sports in general. I'm feeling great, especially Mount St. Mary's going to March Madness tournament selection Sunday in the next few hours. I saw both of our, I guess your old school, your first school, my old school, both won the MAC. We won the MAAC. You won the MAC. Yeah. So that'd be crazy if we get the Zips versus the Mountaineers in a basketball game for March Madness.
Man. Go Zips, man. Shout out to the small schools, man. I love to see it.
What's going on with LSU basketball? Y'all y'all some cheeks, bro. What's going on?
They're always trash, dog. But like I think 2 years ago when 13 players transferred that the future was bleak, you know. So the men's team is just sad, and we kind of just living off Kim Mulkey right now for the women. And they're not even as good as they used to be, but that's neither here nor there, bro.
Yeah, that was it's like, dang, this is ain't looking too good. You got football though. Football's good, and track's obviously pretty solid. So hopefully not terrible. But I was feeling great. Mount St. Mary. Last time I was in there was my sophomore year of college. So and usually what happens, as you know, with being at a former small school, all of your good players leave after this year. So people are like, oh, you'll return. It's going to be a great year next year. Nah, them boys gone. Ain't none of these boys coming back. So you gotta pray 6 years from now you do well. So we'll see. But so this same time I went back and checked. So as I mentioned, you were one of the first kind of guests that I had on this show. So I was like, let me go back to like the first DMs. Like when I asked, like, if you wanted to be on the show, I was like, hey, this is Colin, host of this thing. You're like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So he set up an interview and I totally forgot about this. I just didn't show up to our interview. I went back and I saw in my messages saying like, oh my God, I'm so sorry I didn't show up. I thought the interview was at 2:00 and I had it at 1. And so apparently I just ghosted you. And I now it started jogging my memory. I was like so nervous. I'm like, oh man, this guy's never going to want to do any other interviews with me. Like he's going to be pissed off. Just totally ghosted you when we on our first one. So sorry about that 5 years later. So
that's crazy. Well, I mean, obviously we've come a long way since then. So
yeah. So good stuff. Hopefully no more ghosting of interviews. And then last thing before we get into the track stuff, we seen on social media yesterday, or I guess 2 days ago, you're wearing skirts. We're going through thrifting. What in the world was this fashion forward that we got going on. It was you got to tell me. It was a little. I had some questions for you as to what this new fashion is looking like.
I feel you, bro. So, my training group, everybody thinks that they can dress the best. If you ask anybody in my training group, they're going to say that they dress the best. And so I had an idea, like, we could actually put this to the test. Anybody could get a stylist or anybody could wear high fashion. But to tell if you could really dress, can we all go to the same thrift store and find an outfit and see who really looked the best? So we all went to the Goodwill yesterday, 2 days ago now. And we all had 30 minutes on the clock, went in and found a fit. And then we went to the mall after. And we had random people at the mall grade our fits. Now, I chose, and they asked me, Noah, what are you looking for when you go here? I was like, I'm going to find a denim skirt. I'm going to the women's section, and I'm finding a denim skirt. And half the room was looking at me crazy, and half the room was looking at me like, hold on, this might be tough. And I got the inspiration from Stephon Diggs like 3 years ago. He wore a kilt. And I was like, I need to do something like this. So I went to find a denim skirt, found the skirt, found a satin, paisley pattern shirt, went to the mall after, and in consensus, people said I had the best fit out of the whole training group off of that. So if you talking about, oh, you got a skirt on, this, that, and the third, I don't care what you think, because I know I look good. I know I can dress. Best dressed athlete in the world. So it's just in me. It's not even on me. I could wear anything. It don't really matter, not to toot my own horn or anything like that. And just to aside from that, on Twitter a few days ago, I made a trolling post, right? Where they said USA women's 4x1 versus Jamaica 4x1, right? And they had like Sha'Carri, Gabby. I don't remember the other two. That's the point. And I quoted the tweet and I said, like, we smoking the HGH girls, talking about the Jamaican girls. And Jamaican Twitter, track Twitter, and I knew this was going to start a fire. I knew it was. But they got on me hard. You ain't did shit since da-da-da. Imagine this clown, da-da-da, this and the third. So much so that Caleb Dean posted on TikTok when we was at the thrift. And people was in his comment section like, look at this clown. Like, now you got it. I'm like, man, if I got that much real estate in your head, like, please reevaluate yourself. And also, if you trying to talk about me and my performances and I can't find shit about you, or you peaked at 55 seconds in the 400, like, it's not much to talk about. You understand? Like, y'all got to know me and know that I'm a born troll on social media. I look up to Aaron Brown in the troll category. Aaron Brown is one of my biggest inspirations when it comes to track and field trolling. So you gotta know what's serious and what's not, because now you guys are out here really, really emotionally affected by what I said. And I love that you're emotionally affected, but like, don't be.
Dude, talking about track and field troll. First off, I don't care what nobody said that was watching that fit. That fit was wild, crazy. Like, insane fit. Like, I don't care if your mama said you look good. I don't care if your papa said you look good. I don't care if the strangers in the mall said you look good. That shit was wild, Noah. Crazy. I popped out and I was like, what is this man doing? But if anyone's gonna look, this is what I'll say. If anyone is going to do it, it's you, and it's the best that it could be. I still think it's crazy, but if anyone, you got the best of it. I'll leave it at that. That's as much as you can get from me on that one. And then, yeah, when it comes to the trolling, yeah, I see you be getting in your bag a lot more recently. Of hey, let me pull out some of these tricks and it be working. Yeah, if you're ever like, hey man, I need to get some engagement, just say, all right, let's say something about Jamaica track. That's going, all right, let's get this popping. They'll sure to follow. And yeah, I saw a couple of them comments, and one yeah, there was some funny stuff. One person was like, oh, I see only one person in this picture that has, been banned for something. And then Aaron was like, literally, this is wrong. Like, Shelly, and she was like, whoa. I was like, no. Like, based on what you said, you were wrong. And so it was just, man, it was funny. That was funny. I saw some other track trolling stuff. Did you see this? You see this University of Tennessee stuff going on?
The diss album.
This album, yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
For those that don't know what's going on, so this is a secondhand story that I am telling. I do not know everything going on, so do not take this as complete fact. This is me. This is very early stages. I have not looked into this, but apparently, so there was a former like recruiting coordinator for the University of Tennessee, and I guess they were up until like this past year the coordinator for University of Tennessee. Alleged, this is all alleged stuff. I have no idea how accurate it is, but I've seen a lot of this going on. And he drops a whole diss album, 8 tracks with features about the University of Tennessee and their recruiting violations and NCAA issues that they've been having, allegedly. And about the coaching staff, training staff, all the types of issues. I'm wondering, how do you have an 8-album diss track about NCAA track and field violations? That's incredible to me. Insane levels of hatred that, like, one, like, how accurate is it? I'm curious. There's got to be, there obviously, like, what was it? Who said it? J. Cole, like, all jokes contain true shit. Like, so there's got, like, maybe not everything. There's got to be something a little, which is like a whole album. That's crazy. That levels of troll that I feel even Aaron can't replicate at this point.
Yeah, that was just hatred. Like, I think you got trolling, and then you got like the next level is like just hate. And have you listened to it?
I listened to one of the songs, and I was just like, and they had some good beats. Like, the beats are all right, but I was like, I can't listen to a whole eight track about NCAA violations. I can't do it. Maybe as like a member of the media, I probably should, so I can like speak on some stuff. But yeah, it was wild. Saying it's interesting stuff. So if you can find it, go and take a look at it. It's funny.
Yeah, funny as hell, man.
So let's get into some actual track and field. A lot of stuff going down in this the NCAA track and field world. I guess let's start with just our overall thoughts of the meet. I've definitely said I think the NCAA track and field's the best version of track and field for fans to watch. I think that they do a good job airing it. I mean, there's some stuff that I hated about this time. I'll get into it, but I guess overall, from the production, the performances, just the whole thing. What was your take on this year's indoor NCAA championship?
A lot of new stars is what I'm seeing. A lot of new athletes that we maybe didn't speak about too much in the past. One, which made me really happy to see. All-time great performances were scattered throughout the meet, throughout different distances and event groups. 3, it was a couple things I was looking for, or a couple athletes I was looking to see do well and didn't. So I'm excited to get into that as well. Like a couple of this kind of like disappointing moments, but all together, there were some special performances, and NCAA, like the actual NCAA, almost dropped the ball at the end of the meet. So we can get into that a little bit as well. That'd kind of be like my biggest takeaways.
Yeah, no, I think we're in a similar type of thing. I thought there were some great, like, where it was close races that were interesting. The ending was kind of, they had that little extra drama at the end with the 4x4. I mean, it's only fitting that you have that with the 4x4. Some great performances. And while, like, I love the way that NCAA has framed their meets for watching for a fan of, like, I'm a fan of having it go all men and all women personally, like, watching. Now, I know I've heard from athletes, and I'm not sure how you felt when you were running it, that a lot of them like it going men than women. I personally like it all men than all women, because you can finish a story like in the beginning and you go straight through, versus like it's kind of, you may not remember who's ahead, who's not when it's going back and forth. But then there's one massive thing that I hated about this track meet that I put on Twitter. So if you're on my Twitter, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll get into that in a second. But overall, I thought it was pretty solid. So can't complain.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot to be said. And just really quickly, with the order of events and how they do it, like all women and then all men. As a spectator, I absolutely love it like that. Like you said, it can tell a full story, start to finish, and you can follow team progress. But as an athlete, I hated it. Absolutely hated it, because I remember I won the 400 at this meet and I had to do 2 interviews. And then by the time I was done with the interviews, I had to be back on the track for the 4x4. So I didn't get a chance to cool down. I didn't get a chance to warm back up, but I had to be right back on the track. So for athletes that are doubling, it just makes things a lot more chaotic and it's harder to do. We even saw a Baylor guy, the 400 guy, Ezekiel, not participate in the 4x4. And I think that had a bit of a reason why. I thought it was soft as hell that he didn't, but that's neither here nor there. I'm sure that played factor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think they were also talking about Brackens, like, because he was doing the like long jump and then the 60-meter hurdles. And so he did the 60-meter hurdles and then he had to go back to do the long jump, but he wasn't allowed to change his spikes. And so he had to do his last jump in his sprinting spikes, but the jump didn't count because the sprinting spikes have an air bubble in them and you're not allowed to have air bubbles in your long jumping spikes. And so his last jump just didn't even count. And so it's like, it's making it, I can see from an athlete perspective, like especially for him, where I mean he was doing the 60, the long jump. I think he had some other things going on too. So it's like, hey, for those, like, yeah, that's tough to be able to go through and to do. Especially like when the long jump, they don't be really even showing the jumps any love at all. Like in between the events, they didn't show anything. Like they would just have the picture of the track. And I'm like, show the jumps. Like they did this a couple years ago, back when you won. Like that year they just filmed the long jump and the triple jump. Whenever it would be one jump, one. When there weren't any running events going on. This year they didn't do that. It's like we're just wasting, like you're wasting camera time when you could show something right now.
Yeah. I think the most significant clip I saw while watching the meet from the jumps was when Michael Larry, the Georgia kid, he stepped onto the track while they were running, I think, the 800. He was trying to talk to his coach, and the kids the guys were coming around the track, and he had to like.
Did I cut out?
Oh, you're good now. I hear you now. Yeah.
All right, cool. But yeah, when Michael Larry stepped onto the track and he had to run off the track really quickly, like that was like the most highlighted the long jump was over the weekend. Obviously, they showed a couple of Johnny's jumps just to kind of like highlight how he had to go from the track back to the field, but for the most part, it wasn't covered.
Yeah, it's and I get, a lot of people are tuning in for the track stuff, but I still think you can show it even if you're not, like, cause nothing was being shown on the track. Like you could hear the claps of people, like, doing the slow clap. So it's like, you might as well like just put a camera right there, man. Like you can do it. And so that gets to my biggest gripe that I had with the with this meet. The announcers for this NCAA track and field championship were the most boring individuals I have ever heard in my entire life. Like, you have people winning NCAA championships, and it seems like it's a chore. It would be like, all right, we finished, and there we go. Congratulations, Jordan Anthony, NCAA champion. That must be real good. And all right, let's go in and see how he's doing. Like, go to March Madness and like just listen, like, because I heard this because I really thought, because I was on TikTok, and right before the last thing that I saw before I was watching NCAA track and field was the top 5 announcers in college basketball history. And so like they were just like, going crazy. Like, the legendary double bang, like when you hear that after a big 3-pointer, and like there's all these great calls. And I remembered back to when RG3 was announcing NCAAs and how much energy he was bringing. And obviously he's no longer with ESPN, so he's not doing it, but it was just like, there's no excitement in this. Like it felt boring for me to watch. Like, how do you not get hyped with the craziness going on? So it's just like, we need to get better people in there. If you need me to give announcements for NCAAs, like let me know, because I can definitely juice it up better than what we had. So that was my biggest qualm.
I agree with you, bro. And for the indoor season for the past few years, I can tell it's been this one of the 2 announcers has been the same guy, and he has the same phrase every year for the 400. And I was waiting to hear that.
So if you guys have ever seen an indoor NCAA 400, he always says this: such and such got out like a shot every time. Such and such, insert name here, got out like a shot in lane 5, lane 4, or whatever. Like, and I was waiting for it this year, and I didn't hear it this year. So, but I definitely agree, bro. Like the energy level isn't NCAA championship energy. I think John, the interview guy, he always does a good job. I've always been a fan of John. When I do interviews with him, I love it. I think he's really nice and pretty educated, and he's understanding to what his role is. But yeah, for the most part, it was a bit low energy. Now we watched it at the house, so we were more so talking over the meet, anyways. But
yeah. Yeah, so I love John Anderson. I think he does a great job on the sideline reporting, but man, like, can we at least pretend to be excited? Like a little bit? Like, come on now. Like let's get something going on, get some better color commentary. I don't know. But yeah, just put Noah and Colin, just us two, have us announce the NCAA championship for outdoors. It'll
maybe for outdoor we should do a stream, like as the NCAA championship's going on, maybe we could do something like that. Where we're kind of commentating the meet on our own channel.
I like that. Yeah, we can do so one thing I learned the hard way. We can't show the actual competition, but we can just show our faces and us talking about it. So we can say, hey, turn on the NCAA championship, and then you can mute the audio and then listen to us, because I did that a couple years ago. And yeah, I got a couple emails that weren't so great. I didn't know you weren't allowed to do that. So yeah, as long as you don't show the competition, we can stream it, because they will copyright strike you to hell. But it'll be good. It'll be good. So yeah, let's we can connect. We can do something like that. Should be fun. Cool, man. So a lot of really big performances for this competition. I guess might as well start with the American record that we had. Isabella Whittaker, 400 meter American record, collegiate record, 49:24, if I remember correctly. What were your thoughts on that competition for Isabella? I think it was obviously a fantastic race for her, clearly, but what was your kind of perspective on the strategy and how it all went down?
Yeah, she obviously got out well, but her last 150 was
like a shot.
She got out like a shot, bro. But her last 150 was really incredible, being able to hold that pace and bring it home that way. That's the best performance we've ever seen in an indoor 400 for a collegiate. So that speaks for itself. I just wanted to see her and Aaliyah in the same heat. I know how they do it indoors. They always got to break it up. But it would have been really, really dope to see. And then obviously watching Aaliyah in the next heat try to catch that time, it was cool. But yeah, man, Isabella Whittaker is putting herself at the top of the Bowerman list for me. Obviously, leading into this outdoor season, she's the number one athlete on the women's side that I'm looking for. That was really special. I didn't think she had that in her. And that's no smut, no shade, anything. 49.2 is a historic performance. So congrats to her. That was special, man.
Yeah, going into this year, I mean, I thought she was a very solid runner at Penn for a while. Like, I thought she was a strong runner. I didn't think, like, there's levels to this stuff, and I thought that she was on the level below of, like, hey, you're going to be a strong contender. You're probably you might be able to get into a couple finals throughout your collegiate, throughout the remainder of your collegiate career, and like, you might be able to score some points at the NCAA level. That's kind of where I thought she was going to be, and obviously extremely wrong. Where she goes from, now being not only winning, but winning in a dominant fashion there with the American record. And so just like a great, I think this is going to be interesting to see how it translates into the outdoor track, where everyone's in the same heat. You're lined up right next to them. I'm glad to see the NCAA changed it, where now it's not just random heat, like you just get a random lane like they did last year. Like I saw, Sean was Maswangani was talking on live he's like, yeah, I was in lane 3 of the 200 indoors and like didn't get out of, not getting out of the heats because of, you draw lane 3, even though you're like the fastest in the country. He's like, now it's like you actually get a good lane. So glad to see that. But yeah, it was historic race for her. You think you can break Talitha Diggs' American record outdoors? She has a 400 record, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do my research. I would assume that Talitha is one of the top up there for sure, especially as far as collegiates. But I think Isabella is looking at a 48 mid type outdoor performance, and that would be put her on the world stage. That would put her in the finals at Worlds, in medal contention at Worlds. So that performance is definitely one that stuck in my head for sure. And even headed to the outdoor season, looking at the Arkansas women's, I think a person that went under the radar a bit was Kaylin Brown. I think she might have had an injury at the beginning of the season, but obviously we know she's capable of incredible performances. We've seen it in Paris last year, but her and Isabella together, I think, will challenge a lot of records coming this outdoor season.
Oh, and I was wrong. Talitha Diggs doesn't have the American record. She was the American champion that year in 2022. It's still Sonny Richards-Ross that has it. So I was wrong. But yeah, no, similar. I mean, Kaylin Brown, I think they have a really good duo. I mean, Arkansas obviously always puts together a really good team. they got upset. I mean, they as a team, they didn't do well at all. I mean, they came in 4th, lost by, Washington beat them, Oklahoma beat them, USC beat them, Georgia beat them, and then obviously Oregon, got the team win. So it's interesting that the team that historically has the most depth at this level struggled a bit on the indoor side. Now, come outdoors, I'm sure they'll obviously be ready to be contenders. But that was interesting to me to see that they didn't to come in 4th. Like almost freaking Illinois was almost was almost right there on them. So that was a bit of a surprise for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of speak on the total for the women's, congrats to Oregon, of course. It was a bit underwhelming to see Arkansas not place in the top 3. But Oregon won by 16 points, right? And they got exactly 16 points from Jadyn Mays. That is actually incredible. Like, had she not come back for this season, they wouldn't be national champions right now. And I don't know if you saw her interview after the meet, but she kind of was just like, yo, like, I'm super proud. I was able to place 2nd in 2 events and help my team win a national championship. And that was the whole goal of coming back. And I was like, yo, that's incredible. Like that is what you want from your athlete. If you're a coach or a program, anybody, a teammate, that's exactly what you want is a Jadyn Mays on your team. She's always in the final, always scoring for her team. And they were able to win a national championship. So shout out to Jadyn Mays and shout out to the Oregon Ducks women.
Yeah, literally made every single 60-meter final in her NCAA career. Like, that is a level of consistency that not many people can say. That is incredible to be able to do that. 4 or 5 seasons in a row, when just to get to the meet, you have to be top 16 in the country just to get there. And then you've got to be in the top half of those 16 people in a race where if you blink at the wrong time or you breathe at the wrong time, you're cooked and you don't have a chance. And to do that 4 years in a row is insane. And just her consistency as an athlete. And then, yeah, putting her team in that position. Now, I'm sure it's a little tough, like, emotionally, of like, hey, you came back wanting, not only do you want to win a team championship, I'm sure she obviously wanted to win individually. And so I guess there has to be a little bit of those emotions of like, yes, we won the team title. That's exactly what I wanted. But like, man, I really wanted to win that individual title, and to come 2nd in both of them, I'm sure can be a little tough. And I'm sure you're coming back too for that potential. What's that pro contract going to look like for you? And so that difference in being 2nd in 2 events versus being 1st in 2 events, I'm sure that plays a lot of, hey, that contract might not have another 0 next to it, or that might be a 5 instead of a 9. Like, so it's like, I'm sure that also is a little bit tough, but obviously she's had a fantastic career. Big fan of her.
Yeah, shout out to her, man. She's one of my favorite athletes to watch. We talked about her heavily on the show last outdoor season. Like, she's a great athlete, seemingly great person too. So, you love to see people like that do well. So, and she got a PB in the 200 as well, which is dope.
How would that be for, I mean, on your perspective, where, I mean, you've been at these incredible meets as well, where you get a personal best, but it may not be good enough to win. Have you had, like, how do you feel with those emotions of, like, oh man, because, like, for me at the level that I was at, like, I didn't care about placement for really anything unless it was our conference championship. And so it's like, yeah, I could come in second every single competition, but if I got a PB, that was fine. But, like, at this level where it's like, man, I did the best I've ever done, but it still wasn't good enough. Like, I know we talked to Jareem about that at the end about the Olympics, but I mean, those are hard. It's still got to be a hard pill to swallow, I feel.
Definitely a hard pill to swallow, because say I do better than I ever did, and kind of to go off what Jareem said, and it's still not be enough. It's just like, damn, it just kind of leaves a bit of a sour taste in your mouth. Obviously, it comes with is a motivational factor as well, but every time you PB or every time you run well at a big meet like this, you want to be the victor. That's inevitable. But as a competitor, you kind of got to just tip your cap to that person who still did better than you that day. That's kind of how I felt in 21 when Randolph beat me. I was like, oh well, I ran well. He just ran better that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, similar to what you had mentioned with I mean, talking about Jadyn Mays, how she's just been incredibly consistent through her career, and, like, her coming back literally being the difference for Oregon. I look at someone who I think can be that next Jadyn Mays that also had a fantastic competition here, Indya Mayberry out of TCU, who she beats her in the 200. She also sets a personal best, a freshman, and then she came in, what was it, third or fourth in the 60?
Mm-hmm.
Which one was it? Yeah.
Fourth.
Yeah, fourth. Yeah. So, I mean, she's putting together these times of where, hey, are we looking at that type of person where you might be that Jadyn Mays, where she's going to be competing for, the Bowerman here as well. If, she's able to say, hey, I won the 200. I came in fourth in the 60. And then imagine if you win the outdoor 200, you win the 4x1, you win the 100, you in that mix as well. So, do you think this is a blip? Like, hey, this is something we don't, this may, she might not be here the rest of the season, or you think she's going to be someone to watch for the next season, next few years?
I think Indya Mayberry, this was her coming out party. The hype around this meet has been Jameesia for the entire season. Jameesia Ford never lost an indoor 200 to any collegiate. That's kind of been the narrative. And Indya went and won Big 12s in 22-4, and she upped the stakes a bit more with winning the national championship in 22-3 in the same heat as Jameesia. It was incredible, bro. I wasn't sure how this freshman was going to go and compete at this big profile meet, but she held her composure. She looked like she did it before. So I'm looking for her to continue this incredible season. I'm sure she's going to be at Texas Relays, and I would expect for her to drop a bomb there. And she's also another person that's right at the top of that Bowerman list for me as well. I think she's going to be an incredible athlete. I'll have to look at the freshman 200-meter record, because I would assume she would break it at 22-3. I know Faber O'Keely didn't run that fast as a freshman. I don't think Abby Steiner ran that fast as a freshman. I know Mackenzie Long didn't run that fast as a freshman. So, that I'm very excited about Indya Mayberry.
Yeah, let me go through and see. Freshman 200-meter. All right, here we go. List of collegiate. Oh, this just has. I just see the regular record, which is Abby Steiner's 2180. Indya Mayberry. Yeah, so I'm sure I'll find it. We'll see what it is. We'll send it out when we get it. But no, yeah, that was there's two different types of, I guess, like the mentality that you'll see with these freshman athletes of, you'll come in there and it's like, you don't know what you don't know. And so it's like, yo, I'm not nervous at all. Like, I don't know how, like, this is the first time going through it. And so the lights haven't quite hit you yet. And then there's the other side, which is the, oh, I am a little fish, big pond. Like, this is my first time here. I'm looking at all these people that have been doing it for the last 3, 4, 5 seasons. You know, I'm lining up against Jameesia Ford. I'm lining up against Jadyn Mays. You know, I'm lining up against all these women. And it can be, oh my goodness, like, I don't know if I'm able to, like, is the light too big? Are the lights too big for me? Those are like the two kind of ways. And so it's hard to make those predictions on how they're going to end up going. I'm excited to see that she was like, nah, like I'm gonna be that girl. Like I'm gonna be that person that's gonna step up and put herself in a really good position. So yeah, it's hard to kind of judge how it's gonna go for these freshmen, but she pulled that out. Like I think she's gonna be someone to look out for, like you said, at the top, towards the top of that Bowerman list. Like that's impressive, man. That's impressive.
Absolutely, man. I think that the women's 200 is shaking out to be probably the most competitive event on the women's side right now. Obviously, you got Indya, you got Jameesia, you got Jadyn. Outdoors, I'm looking to see maybe 3 or 4 extra names. Brianna Liston, of course, Team of God Bless, the LSU girls. Auburn's got a couple. So, you know, I'm just really excited for the women's 200 led by Indya Mayberry.
Yeah. Now I mean, you got the crown on right now. Like, let's see how who's going to be able to challenge you, man. Like, no, that's impressive. That's impressive.
Absolutely.
On the men's side with the sprints, we saw another kind of like, for some would be a big surprise, for some not, with Jordan Anthony like coming through and taking down the Auburn Cats for a second straight week in a row. As a guy, once again, like probably has been overlooked as a sprinter. Like he in his interview he did afterwards, he talked about how he came second to Favor Eshe, you know, as a freshman. Like he came third his sophomore year, and how he's like he's the top dog right here. What were your thoughts on seeing him getting this big win against two of the best in NCAA history that Auburn really had, and taking their lunch for a second time?
I'll put it like this. Point blank period, that was not supposed to happen. This guy just came off a full fucking football season, getting tackled, knocked around, wearing pads, cleats, and switching sports 2 months 2 months ago, literally. And he goes and wins a national championship and an SEC championship. That's not supposed to happen. Name me, chat, name me one other person that's ever done that, ever. I don't think that's ever happened before. He's not supposed to do that. This kid is incredible. Like, I'm really looking forward to his outdoor season for the 100. But congrats to Jordan Anthony. Like I said, I've known Jordan Anthony for years. He was my recruit at LSU. He's a cool kid, to himself kid. Really, really just, you know, humble and good person. So for him to do that, man, special. 6'4", he's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's done it where gone from football to winning indoors. I know that Devin Allen did it with outdoors. Like he won football. I don't think he did it in the indoor thing, because he was about to be the first person to win a national championship both in track and in football in the same season. But they came in second at the national championship. They lost to, what was it, Ohio State, something like that. I can't remember. I think it was. Or it was FSU. I think they might have lost to FSU.
Oh, Florida State, yeah, with J-Bo.
Jameis here. Yeah, that was the fun fact. That was my quote. My senior year quote was a Jameis Winston quote back in high school. It was like, I say, you strong. I say, I strong if you strong. And then, okay, we strong then. So let's go. So fun fact. That was my senior year quote back then. What was your senior year quote? You know?
Yeah, my senior. Well, first of all, your senior year quote, to be Jameis Winston, that aged tremendously. Not in the way that we probably would have thought, but it aged tremendously.
Yeah.
And my senior year quote was a Michael Jackson quote. The best education in the world is watching the masters at work. And I'll still stand by that quote. Shout out Mike, RIP, man. Go.
There you go. That's a good one. All right, so got a couple good quotes in there. That's not bad. It's not bad. But yeah, no, he put on, like, I was not expecting like him to be here. Like, honestly, like, he was another person where he's at a level that I didn't think he was going to be at. Like, I thought Jordan Anthony was going to be, like a semifinalist, maybe a finalist competitor. Like when I saw him at Kentucky, like he had a couple good races at Kentucky, but I didn't think that he had it in him to be that good. Like I saw it like, hey, he transferred a few times. He had, he had a few pop out races, but nothing too crazy. I didn't think he was going to be a contender. And after I saw what he did at SECs this year, I was like, all right, never mind. That's clearly different. Like he's on a different level right now. And yeah, after a hectic football season, like an SEC football season that you're doing, like it's not like he's doing nothing. Like that's tough. Like you got a lot of things going on. It's surprising to me. I mean, does this win say more about Jordan Anthony? Was this a Jordan Anthony win or was this an Auburn loss? Which
It
would you
was
say?
a Jordan Anthony win. I don't care how anybody wants to spin it. That dude came and took it. He took it from them. Same way he did it in the SEC championship. Like this dude is proven to be just a dog. Again, I don't really care what he does in the regular season during outdoor, but I think when championship time comes around again, like he's going to be another name that's going to be at the top of the list.
So that's where I wanted to get to with this as well, of how many of these people that we're having right now in in this race are going to be like indoor merchants, of where it's like, hey, I'm great at indoors. I'm a 60-meter god, but that's it. And then because that happens all the time. Like there'll be people that crush the 60, that crush the indoor 2, that crush the indoor, and then it just can't put it together when it comes to outdoors. Like we've seen this in the indoor races for him. I need to see something outdoors from him. Like I can't remember exactly what his personal best is, but I don't know. I need to see some more stuff from him, at least 1 or 2 good races outdoors. Cause like I've seen the 60 and that's great, but you still only about halfway done that race outdoors, man. We need more. And obviously you proved me wrong this year. I wasn't a believer. But I feel like I still need to see a little bit more before I can stamp him on that.
Absolutely. Like the sample size is obviously very small. But looking at the way he runs a 60, he's never really like the first guy out the block. He doesn't have the best start out of the field, but around like 45 meters, you can see him just make that push. So hopefully that running style translates to outdoors where he gets an extra 40 meters to really, really, extend that top end speed. So I think it will translate well, but time tells all.
Yeah, it'll be good. I mean, big time win for him. It was a surprising one. I think he's got all that real estate. I feel now in that head, like in all their heads, like everybody gonna be thinking about, okay, what's going on? He's the big dog now. Like that's it's a big win for him. So excited to see how it goes for that. So then I'm interested, switching gears, I guess a little bit more. We talked about the women's 400, but curious about this men's 400. You had some stuff to say on Twitter about this prelim, and I got some interesting things about the final that we had seen. But I guess why don't you start us off with the 400? You had some words on Twitter about it, so why don't you'll break that down? What were your thoughts on this race?
So after the prelim, I went to Twitter and I just said I was disappointed in these guys' performances. It felt like day one, nobody was trying to drop a bomb. Nobody was trying to dominate. Nobody was trying to send a message to the rest of the field. It was kind of like, oh, let me do what I can to qualify. The qualifying times were like 46.4s and 46.2s. And quite frankly, that's bullshit. Those are bullshit times for a national championship track meet. So I was disappointed. And I thought that Will Floyd in the first round, he showed me a little bit of grit. So after the first round, I thought he was going to win. And congrats to him. He ended up winning in 45-43, which is it's all right. It's pretty mid to be a national championship time. No hate at all. He won a national championship. Congrats to him. He did what he had to do to win. But looking at the rest of the field, Nathaniel Ezekiel, who ran 44.7 already this season, backed off and ran pretty scared in the final, in my opinion. He didn't run aggressively at all. He didn't run confidently at all. He didn't run like he was trying to dominate the field. Ahmad Robinson, I said it. I don't know how many times I've said it now at this point. They get in the comments and call me a hater, and he likes to take things that I say and say, okay, you'll see. And I called him a relay god, and he can't even be the relay god anymore because he got his team DQ'd in the 4x4. We'll get to that later. But this kid, I never seen, and we were speaking about it when we were at the watch party watching the 400. I've never seen anybody in an indoor 4 get out hard, back off, try to kick, back off, and try to kick again. I don't know if that's his confidence level in himself. I don't know if that's him underestimating his opponents. I think it's kind of a bit of that. But it's obviously not working. And it's not going to work running the 400 that way. Especially on an indoor track when you're the smallest guy in the field, trying to get away with trying to, run around people and do all that. It's just too many factors to deal with to be running that way. So all in all, like, I was pretty disappointed with these performances. I wanted to see Johnny Blockberger enter the 4, and he didn't enter the 4 at all. Placed 7th in the 2. Sorry for my pessimistic tone here, but I was expecting potentially a world record to be challenged in this 400 this weekend, because we've seen 2 guys in this field already run 44 before, and they didn't even come fucking close. It's terrible.
Yeah, tell me how you really feel, Noah. No, yeah, I mean, to see where the record or the where we're at right now, like you said, is in the 44s, and then it's like we got nearly a full second like slower than the time that we had kind of thought it was going to be, was interesting. Like it's, and same with like what you said with Nathaniel Ezekiel. Like the announcers kept saying how he's like, oh yeah, he doesn't get out well. He's like, they said it. He's never in the blocks, or like he never gets to the pole first. And then he didn't. He was second to the pole. And then they're like, okay, but he kicks in the last 150 meters, and it didn't work. And I think it's like that strategy. Now, I've never ran an open 400 indoors, but I feel at the championship, that strategy has to be a little different than if you're just racing in a regular meet, where the win matters more. It should matter more to you than the time. And if you are worried about that win, that time would potentially come, because if you need to get first to the pole in that 400, because he tried passing on the curve. He tried to pass Will on the curve, and it didn't work, because you can't be passing people on an indoor 200 on the curve. You're not only are you running more, you're now up on an angle. Like, it's going to make it even more difficult for you on a race that's already difficult to run. And so that strategy that he was using just clearly was not something that it should be. And it's interesting. Like, I mean, he's a senior. Like, he's been doing this right now. Like, I mean, this is I bet his come out year. Like, this is him really, really being big. But you'd think when you're coming from Baylor, you're a senior, you've got the fastest time in the country, I'd expect a better race strategy than what we had. And he let the guy, Will Floyd, who stepped onto Athens campus in January for the first time, to be able to come through and win his national championship. Will Floyd should not have won this. Like, this was Nathaniel Ezekiel's championship to lose. And unfortunately, that's what happened. Like, I thought that there was no reason that he should not have gotten that win, or at the very least, if he didn't win, that it was like a world record-esque time, where it's like, hey, if you're going to beat me, then you're going to have to like go to the depths for it. But I mean, in the interview Will Floyd did after, he even said that his coach, that coach was saying, yeah, bring these racers to the depths, bring them to the deep end. They weren't in the deep end. They were in the shallow end. He just still beat them. Like, they weren't in the deep end for this race. He just had pool floaties on, and they were sinking. It's like, so I thought it could have been so much better. I mean, the drama of it, like, it was a very close race. I mean, the top 2 separated by 1/100th, and then the next 2 separated by just 2/100ths, even though it seemed a little bit closer than that. So the drama of it was exciting, because the number ones in the second heat and the number ones in the first heat both were super close. So that did make it exciting. That did make it fun. But I was just super surprised that Nathaniel Ezekiel didn't win, and when the winning time was 45:43.
Yeah. And okay, so you can pass people on a turn when you're a 44 guy and you're running against 46, 47 guys. But at a national championship, if you're not first to the pole, you're going to lose. Here's why. Last year, 2024, Christopher Morales-Williams, first to the pole, breaks the world record indoors. Year before that, Elijah Godwin, 44.7, national champion, first to the pole. Year before that, Randolph Ross, 44.8, or maybe 44.79, first to the pole, national champion. Year before that, me, 44.71, first to the pole, national champion. You're not going to win a national championship in a 400 meters indoors if you're not first to the pole. Trying to pass people that's also running 44 high, 45 low is not going to work on an indoor track. It's not going to work. You can do it against shitty competition in the regular season, yes. But when it comes time, the big dogs come out with the big dogs, you're not passing on the turn. Give it up. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, like I didn't know it went all the way back, that the last 4 winners, all people that are first to the pole. And interesting to see, Georgia, they've won the last three years in a row, right? It's with Floyd, Godwin, and Morales Williams. So clearly,
and the 4x4.
And the 4x4. So clearly, one coach, at least in this nation, knows get to the pole first. You have to win. If you can't win the 200, you can't win the 400. You got to be first there. And it's showing, it's working, and they're winning because of it. So shout out to them for being able to win. Now, outdoors can be a little bit of a different story. You ain't got to cut in. It's a little bit different, but I was just surprised by the race strategy that we saw there. So
yeah, and you said it, like Ezekiel's a senior, so is Ahmad. Ahmad's a 5th-year senior. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, but hey, that's my take on the 400 men. Sorry, guys.
Well, so that's your take on the 400. What about that 4x4? So with the 4x4, that was wild stuff. Could you break down what kind of happened with this 4x4, the DQs, the shoving, the drama after, and for those that might not have watched or wasn't quite sure what happened?
Yeah. So first of all, congrats to Georgia winning out of the second heat. I think the top 3 times were either out of the first or second heat. But with the final heat, you had Texas A&M, you had USC, you had was it Arizona State?
So in the second heat was Georgia, Texas Tech, Arizona State, and Virginia Tech.
Okay. So the final must have been what? Arkansas, USC.
Which one are you talking about? Which heat?
The very last heat.
Yeah, so the very last heat was USC, Florida, Arkansas, and Texas A&M.
Okay, so that was where all the drama occurred, right? So Texas A&M got DQ'd, and I knew it was a DQ as soon as it happened. But Ahmad, relay god, was the pop-off for Texas A&M, and he impeded. He was on the outside merging in. He tried to get the break this time. At least he tried to get the break this time. But he was merging, and he impeded upon the Arkansas runner, who then was hit in the back by the USC runner, and he dropped the baton. So Arkansas is already out of the race. The race continues, and it's time for the anchor leg. And Arkansas was running around. They were basically getting lapped. And the officials were holding the anchors from being able to get onto the track. So you can see Texas A&M get the baton in first. And then USC, Johnny Blockberger, great job, Johnny Blockberger, to finish your collegiate indoor career, by the way. That was a great finish. He had to run from off the track onto the track, as well as, I believe, the Florida runner, off the track onto the track to get the baton from their third legs into the anchor. USC won the heat. I think they placed 3rd overall in the race. A&M was DQ'd. It was a big discussion. I saw Coach Case at Arkansas saying, "We'll run it again. We'll run it again by ourselves. We'll line us up." Didn't end up happening, but it was a lot of drama, a lot of weird things. That's why I said at the beginning of the show, NCAA nearly dropped the ball because they didn't let the anchors onto the track when they were supposed to be onto the track.
Yeah, no, that was wild. Yeah, we had Arkansas. Let's see, take a look at these times. So we had their first runner ran a 59, second one ran a 52, third ran a 53, fourth ran a 1 minute and 2 seconds. So yeah, they were, once that bump and they dropped that baton, they all stopped running. And so I get that. I mean, this is what I don't quite understand about it, of like, if you're going to do that, just leave. It's stop, because it's not like outdoors where there's only 8 finalists. There's 11 teams in this thing, right? There's 3 heats. So if you run this slow, you're not going to win. You're not going to score any points. It's a useless race. Why do you run it at all? Just step off the track and quit, because now you're impeding everyone else that's actually trying to run. The last runners are running 1 minute and 2 seconds. I ran a faster 400. I'm 40 pounds out of shape and I haven't ran in 4 years. I ran a faster 400 than that. And you're at the national championship. Clearly, and obviously you don't run a 1 minute, you don't run a 102. Obviously, like there's so much, they're significantly faster than that. But it's like you're impeding the rest of the competition. You're making it like there's no reason for you to be doing this. And so I didn't get it. I think it's weird. Just stop. It's not like you're going to score points. You're not scoring any points by finishing this. You're just being a nuisance. So that's my take on it. I thought they should have just let him go, but
yeah,
they didn't keep running.
I think had the first leg just stopped and walked off the track, there would have been a chance for them to get a repechage or however you say it, run by themselves, kind of like the 2016 USA Women 4x1. Because if they DQ'd A&M for impeding upon him, if he had just stopped, that I think there would have been a better chance for them to get a run in by themselves, because they were in contention to win the team title. I believe they would have had to just beat USC. I think they were down by 2 points going into that event. I could be mistaken.
Yeah, USC got one with 39. Arkansas has 30. And so if they won, so then because if USC gets 10 points, that means they had 20. Would have been 28.
Or USC would have gotten 6 for that race, I think.
Yeah. So going into this competition, USC had 29 points and Arkansas had 30 points. If my math is correct. Because if USC won, then yeah.
But they didn't win the relay though. So they got 4th in the relay.
Oh wait, they got 4th in the relay. Okay.
Yeah, so they would have got, what's that, 6 points or 5 points?
6. Yeah, because it's 10, 8, 6. Yeah, 5. So they got 5 points. Yeah, so they had 34. So it was 30 to 34 that they had. So if Arkansas had won the national championship in the 4x4, then they would have been team title champions. So that's why they're probably saying, "Hey, let's run it again. But yeah, if you stop the race, then because now they're like, "Whoa, you finished it. What are you talking about? You finished the 4x4. You have a time." But if you step off right there, it's like, "No, we couldn't do it. You see, we got impeded." Maybe you have a case, and maybe you could have won. So that was, I didn't think of it that way.
Crazy, huge implications there, but nonetheless, congrats to the men of USC. I think we were saying it since the very first week of the season that we both had either it was USC or A&M winning the men's side. JC Stevenson had a great performance. Johnny Brackens obviously didn't do what he wanted to do, but he still had a good performance. They had a scorer in the 2, or 2 scorers in the 2. Scorer in the 4. Obviously, they scored in the 4x4. Just a great team performance by the Trojans.
Yeah, it was good. A little fight on action. Yeah. You went on a visit to USC, right?
I didn't go on a visit, but they were my number 2 school. Had I not went to LSU, I would have been a Trojan.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And they did all of this too without Mekhi Williams, who's coming out, who's I'm guessing running outdoors. I don't know. He's at USC. I thought he was going to be running indoors. He didn't, but hopefully he'll run outdoors. So then they're essentially would be trading Blockberger for Mekhi Williams, which not a bad trade in my opinion. If Williams does well, so that'll be nice for them. Yeah. So big stuff for NCAAs. I think a solid performances from the show. I think there's a few things that could have been better. While the drama was great for the 400, like the performances weren't quite there, but overall I'd say it was a solid competition. I give it a B, a strong B. I feel if I'm giving it a grade for where it is. What about you? What do you give it?
I'll give it a B. There was a lot of great performances, a lot of mid performances, but there's one thing that's missing on the men's side.
Noah Williams. Yep.
What? No, but they're missing aura. Like nobody's walking around with their chest out like I'm really that guy. Nobody got it's no real head turners on the men's side. I think on the women's side, you got a few in the sprints. I think Jameesia Ford's a head turner. I think Isabella Whittaker, Aaliyah Butler, and Kaylin Brown are all head turners. Even Jadyn Mays. It's just the aura, the way that they carry themselves, the confidence that they exude on the track in between events. I don't see that too much on the men's side. Maybe Johnny Bracken's got it a little bit, but he didn't come out as a champion, so that it was false aura, fake aura, per se. So outdoor season, I'm hoping you guys carry a little bit more confidence. I'm excited to see what the champions do moving forward. The Carly, shout out to the 200-meter champ in 2014. I think he ran 2013. Incredible race as well. Maybe he'll be like an aura guy coming outdoor. So we'll see how it goes, man.
Yeah, I think Jordan could potentially be one of those guys.
Yeah.
I think we could see, what was it, Max, drawing a blank, from USC. What's the guy from USC? Max Fielder? I know he has a pod, not JC, like JC Stevenson. One of the people. I'm drawing a blank on his name. I think he was a 60 or 200 meter guy. I know he's got a podcast that he talks a lot of trash in, which is pretty good as an NCAA dude. But I feel you. I think there weren't as many names on here that could be big. I mean, I know, hopefully we'll have some of those, because there was no Godson Ogunbrume. There were no Sean Maswanganye. There was no Reshe, Micah Williams. Like, there were none of those people, where those are the guys that have been really carrying track for a little while, the NCAA, like, name from a name perspective. So interested to see if any of those people are going to be running outdoors and how it'll go, So.
Yeah. I got a question, actually. So you know how in the NBA right now, it's kind of like a up in the air, up for grabs, like who's going to be the face of the NBA. And there's been like a lot of debates about, is international basketball better than USA developmental basketball now at this point? And now that I'm sitting here and thinking about these names and the guys who are getting top 3 and winning national championships, a lot of them are African. A lot of them are foreign. You got the 2 top finishers in the 200. Neither of them are from here, and we're seeing that trend pretty consistently. You named Favor Ashe, Godson Ogunbrume, Sean Maswanganye. That's a pretty long list of super elite guys in the sprints that aren't Americans. And growing up my whole life, I think the NCAAs, it would always be Americans until maybe Oduduru at Texas Tech in 2018. I think that's when it kind of started to change. But now I'm seeing a lot more international. So is this a trend that's going to continue? Are we going to continue seeing internationals coming and just whooping our ass, taking our food? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good. I hadn't really thought of it like that. Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot more international people coming through. So this is what I would say. We're seeing more international people coming into the sprinting events, and we're seeing more Americans coming into the distance events. Like, because if you see like Grant Fisher, Cole Hawker, like we're in like the Yared Nagoose, like we're in those areas right now for distance where it was dominated by a lot of the nations in Africa, the Nigerias, the Kenyas, Nairobi, not Nigeria. They've been more on the sprints. And then now we're seeing a lot of the, African nations as well as nations in Europe that are coming through and doing well in the sprints. I mean, the 100-meter runner who wins last year, from Great Britain, so we've got a lot more people from the international stage coming to the United States in the NCAA program and winning these NCAA championships. And so, yeah, it looks like we're getting more internationals in the sprints and we're getting more Americans in distance. It's kind of merging and coagulating into things that we haven't historically been in those things.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, that's fair. And even the trend continued. The mile was won by the Virginia guy, American kid, and Ethan was obviously second in that race. And then Ethan Strand, UNC won. I think it was, what is it, 5K or 3K?
Yeah, 3.
Just a lot of laps around. I'm sorry, distance folks. I don't want to be disrespectful.
Yeah, it was a 3K. Yeah. 3K.
Okay. Yeah, so he was able to win a 3K. So yeah, I think that's an interesting trend. I'm gonna be tracking this now outdoors.
Yeah, it's new. I'm excited. So it's nice to get some new faces, I guess, into it. With it, where I thought you were gonna go was like, who's the face of NCAA track and field right now? I feel like there have been kind of big names in track where it's like, oh, this is the most popular person that we've had. I know Abby Steiner was a big one. I would say the like Parker Valby last year was probably the face last year. And we said at Abby, I would say Terrence Laird was big through it. Matthew Bowling had his 3 or 4 year run that he had. Right now, I don't think there really is one person that I would say this is the star in NCAA track and field right now. Like, there's a lot of people that are good, but there's no big person that's taking it over right now. And I think high school, there's a lot of people that are like be up next. Like, I think next year we'll have a ton because there's a bunch of like high schoolers that are going to be huge personalities because of just how big track and field has been in the high school level. But I don't think there really is a face of college track right now for the first time in a long time, if I'm thinking about it, since before 2019, because Grant Holloway in 2019, like you have to go back pretty far until you can't find someone who's like, this is the person that's taking college track right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe Isabella Whittaker might be that person right now on the women's. I think she's going to be the one curating the most hype around them as far as coverage goes in the outdoor season. But on the men's side, man, I the biggest name is probably Sean Maswanganye. It's probably the biggest name.
And he's not even running outdoors. Like, that's crazy. I'd say Ahmad Robinson probably is right now someone that's going to run outdoors. He's probably the most popular 400-meter runner right now. If I had to pick someone, and even that, like, I wouldn't say he's massive right now, but I think he's probably got one of the biggest personalities in track and could, if he can put together a couple more wins.
Yeah. I think honestly for the men's, I'm going to have to say it's Ethan Strand. Ethan Strand is the best, is the top dog. He's the number one guy in the men's track and field right now.
Okay.
Ethan Strand. Shout out to him.
Shout out Ethan Strand. Yeah. I think he put together a really good, I mean, obviously he won this year and I think he did, fairly well last one. So yeah, I guess Ethan Strand might be. Shout out to the boy Ethan.
Dude, do you know like what he did this weekend was like low-key unheard of? Like, okay, you run a leg on the DMR, you win the DMR, or maybe get top 3 in the DMR. You get second in the mile, and then you go win the 3K. Like, that's a tired man.
That's what Cole Hawker did in 2021, I think, right?
So he's accomplishing things in the likes of a Cole Hawker, and we all know how big and special of a season Cole Hawker had back in 2021. So that's kind of the air that he's in right now. So all you sprint fans, jump fans, just keep an extra eye out for Ethan Strand. I think he's a fun guy to watch too.
Yeah. Now he's talented, man. Yeah, if you're in that Oregon team back in 2020, what was it, 2021? That was indoor. That was a special team. So no, yeah, he's in rare air. He's in good position. So that's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. We forgot it last time, but you're the NOAA International Athlete of the Week. Who do we have for this time?
International Athlete of the Week, man. You can't do much more than break a collegiate record. You can't do much more than break an American record. Got to go with my girl, Isabella Whittaker over there, Arkansas. Shout out to her. Really proud of you. What you did this season indoors, capping it off with that national title 49-2. We'll get that certificate in the mail. Get it to your address right there in Little Rock, Arkansas. I think that's where campus is.
Fayetteville?
Fayetteville, Arkansas. My fault. We'll get it right there. Shipping labels being printed right now. So we'll get it to you. Congrats, Isabella.
Congrats. Yeah. Make sure you check the mail if it might be in Little Rock if it got shipped out already. So we have to move it on over to Fayetteville. So there you go. Nice. So a good indoor NCAA season. Outdoor track is getting started soon. I mean, Texas relays and Penn relays are kind of the first big meets, I would say. Florida relays too. When is Florida? Is Florida relays that's in April, right?
Yeah, it's going to be the first weekend of April. I think it's the same weekend as Texas.
Yeah. So those will be coming up in the next couple weeks. So they get a few weeks off to get back into the swing of things, and then we got some big competitions that are coming along here. So excited for this season. Any other stuff we got kind of going on No.
We gonna stay in the 400, and somebody that came out in the 400 and popped their shit. Shout out to the young bull, new national champion again, Quincy Wilson, 45-7, incredible new national record. Shout out to him. He would have been a finalist at the NCAA meet. So yeah, shout out to Quincy Wilson. That was a great performance at the high school meet.
Yeah, no, big win for Q. I mean, he went up against Andrew Salvandon, who beat him in the 500, and so nice to see him going back. Like he's been unbeaten in like regular races, like 400s and things like that, like the odd distances. You know, people might be able to get a little bit of them, but he's just dominant, man. Like it's Death Taxes and Quincy Wilson gonna win that race. Like that's kind of where we're at right now. So also another shout out to another person who, a little friend of the show, who won the high school Nike National 400. Jayden Horton Mims, who won the 400. So it's weird. We got two national champions, Nike Nationals, New Balance Nationals. Also shout out New Balance. I think they won the backpack game again. You see them things? They were cold.
Sweet.
Nike's
Sweet, dude.
not very cold. They gotta do better. It was just a regular backpack. Come on, we gotta step it up. Y'all Nike, you got money. You can figure it out. Come on now.
You can figure it out, man.
Yeah. So great stuff in the high school. I think there's a couple other, like I think Archbishop Carroll broke the 4x2 national record. We had I think Bullis broke the 4x4 national record too. Like these high school teams are putting together incredible times. And I think NCAA is going to have a new kind of rise next year when all these guys are coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't expect Quincy to go to college, but Andrew Salvandon is a name that is going to be a needle mover for whatever program he decides to go to. I think he also ran 45. I think he also ran 45 indoors, right?
I think so. I wouldn't quote me on that.
Okay. But either way, he is a superstar talent in high school, and I can't wait for him to be an LSU Tiger.
There we go. I don't remember where he's going. Is he going to LSU?
I don't believe so, no.
I know he committed somewhere. I think it's one of the SEC schools, I think. Okay. It's one of them, but we'll see. I don't know who LSU's picking up. There's a lot of great talent, so I'm sure y'all got a couple great high schoolers coming out of there, and I'm sure there'll be some transfers. But yeah, I mean, I think that my hot take is I think Quincy is going to go to college for 1 year, because they were talking about, like, in the podcast with the Beyond the Records podcast, of just like how he really wants to enjoy being a kid for a little bit, of like, because once you go pro, and when what Jalen was saying, like, where he was like, he wished that he kind of went to college for a year to get that college experience for a season. Like, he's someone where you reached the peak when you were in high school, like one of the peaks. Not saying you're never going to reach again, but you're an Olympic gold medalist as a sophomore in high school. Like, money's going to be there for you. Like, take 1 year, do the Sydney thing, do the Mondo thing, break all the records you can, enjoy yourself, have the team environment for a year, and then go pro. That's what I think. I don't know. I think it could work out well. I'd love to see him in college for one season and just see if he can bring a Bowerman. Because I know Noah Lyles was talking about, and Arian Knighton was talking about how they really wish that they could win a Bowerman because they never went to college, and they're like, man, I wish I went to college to win a Bowerman. So, and NIL money, I don't know. I think he might be gone.
I think you might be right. And I think Quincy will be an LSU runner. And here's why. Think about who we see Quincy with the most. It's usually Vernon. I know Vernon and Quincy. I know he's got Quincy's number, and I know Quincy then asked Vernon, the big bro questions like, hey, big bro, what do you think about this? We seen Vernon went to the meet to support him. I think that might be a bit of a liaison to get Quincy to LSU. And you know what? You can take my records. You can have the records, bro. Just choose LSU, bro. Just go to LSU, dog.
Vernon been playing the long game with this, with getting Quincy to go to LSU. So that's what it is. Vernon or Quincy, if you're watching this, let's see how it goes. Will he be an LSU Tiger? Nah, what you should do, bump all of that, go to a small school, stay in Maryland, become a Mount St. Mary's Mountaineer. You're going to be able to take us to the promised land, be the face of our entire school, stay in Maryland. So you're pretty close to where you're from. I know you're from Maryland, so something to consider. You can go live in Pangbourne, great place, first floor Pang. That's where I was my freshman year. The dining halls, it's you're going to have to take a lot of bus rides, but you can change the program. We might be taking flights because you're there. Like, you ain't going to change LSU's program. LSU going to be LSU before you were there, while you're there, and after you're there. It's going to be the same. You go to Mount St. Mary's, you change everything. So just something to consider. That's my pitch.
Not a bad proposal, brother.
Yeah, this shit ain't happening. All right. So great stuff. Excited for our upcoming outdoor season. I'm sure our next episode we'll talk about some things for outdoors. Oh, and I guess the World Championships, because Indoor Worlds will be going on. So I'm sure we'll have some predictions or some reactions and what we've got going on, because they did announce the team USA and all that. So that should be good.
Yeah, should be good, man.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. It's been another episode of Track World News Podcast. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. See you later. Peace.